5-1 coming in the high school, 5-5 the sophomore year that's trying to get recruited and play college ball?
Just in today's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like environment, because it's not like it changed, but the way things are going now, coming in ninth grade, the first thing I would tell you to do is find some friends with similar goals like yours. Okay, if you can help it. Mostly your teammates. It's almost always gonna be your teammates. Find you some guys that you can keep around you, and all of you all would like to go play in college. And the reason why is because they're gonna do things to position you and themselves to get to college, and they're gonna avoid anything that may get in the way with that. So that's just, that has nothing to do with how much you can lift, how fast you can run. That's just about your focus and your discipline and just being in the right environments. So coming in, identify somebody who you can learn from. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say a trainer, but I would use a trainer. I train people now. I've never hired a trainer before, but, you know, I had a different set of, you know, my brother played football. My sister she ran track. I probably still can't beat my sister in the race right now. Yeah, so, you know, I had some in-house guidance, but identify a trainer, a coach, a teammate, somebody, maybe somebody in your church, or a teacher, somebody you can learn from, so they can tell you some of the stuff I tell you. Right, make sure you can run a mile in 7 minutes. Don't eat sweets. Don't eat cakes. Don't eat fried foods if you can help it. Don't drink sodas if you can help it. All right, train, get you a consistent regimen. Try to train in the morning sometimes. Wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning when everybody else is asleep. All right, the weight's not heavy at 5 or 6, but whenever you commit to that, whenever you put in your mind, this is how bad I want to get this done, it'll show. It'll show, I guarantee it. So you want to train and you want to build that up. Next, find you a home. You know, I really have, for lack of a better word, a problem with kids going to 3 or 4 different high schools because it demonstrates inconsistency. All right. My coach's goal was to develop young men. All right. So imagine if I was a young man and every time something go wrong, you know, coach cussed me out, the coach put me on the bench. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna just leave. All right. I feel like it kind of starts a bad habit, but I have seen it work. I actually transferred myself of high school and college, but, you know, in a lot of situations, mine is different, and I'll explain it to you. Well, I wouldn't say different, but everybody goes through stuff. There's nothing wrong with transfer. I don't knock it, but try to find you a nice foundation to where you can build and grow. Like, do that. Travel, like, go around town. Once I got my car, my junior year, I would keep 2 pair of cleats in my trunk. So I would link up with my boys from Paxton. You know, I had a few homies at Reigns. One of my boys was playing at Nice at the time. They were very good. And I would really be intentional about going and traveling and training with these guys. So my friend at Nice, his name was Mario Butler, highly recruited cornerback going to Georgia Tech. So I would kind of mimic some of the stuff I learned from him. Now the difference between me and him is he was tall. I wasn't very tall. And that'll buy you some good cool points in recruiting. But I would be able to work out with him and some of his teammates. So I'm like, okay, if you preparing for the ACC and I'm not too far behind you, and maybe I'm not that crazy for thinking I can play Division I. All right, so you'll go find some guys. During the summer, go to those camps. But don't go to those camps like, oh, I'm about to go earn an offer. Because 10 times out of 10, you probably won't. If they haven't offered you by the time you got to camp, you know, unless you just make like a barrage of miraculous plays and everybody notices, you know, I've never seen a situation where people show up to camp and leave with 30 offers. But what you do is you go and you identify the guys they're already recruiting. So the camp that's in my mind right now is Friday Night Lights. We played at University of Florida. And this is before Major Wright was coming in, Chris Rainey was coming in, all those guys were there. So I'm able to see, all right, these are the guys that's being recruited by the team that just won the national championship. So these are arguably the best guys in the country they have to offer. So I find Chris Rainey, I was like, all right, you know, I'm gonna cover him one time on the rep. He burnt me so bad, bro. Like, he was so fast. And I was like, okay, if I want to get to this level, I have to get faster, okay? And then the quarterbacks all had strong arms. So go to those camps, always focused on getting better and developing. Like, the purpose that you put behind what you're doing makes a difference. So when you going in there like, yeah, I'm going to get an offer, we could almost smell it on you. Like, you know, like, oh, yeah, you're not really here to get better. You're not here to crab, you're not here to shake these coaches' hands. Also, you want to meet the coach because the special teams coach at Florida might be the defensive coordinator at Western Kentucky next year. And the guys he was recruiting from Florida not even thinking about going to Western Kentucky, but he remembers you. He remembers you shake his hand. He remembers you being a good person. He remembers you making a couple plays. You know, you got his phone number. You got social media now. You follow him on Twitter. That stuff carries, like building relationships. Football is business. And in every business, real estate, you know, any kind of sales, the relationships you build with people, that's where you get some business created. So I would tell them to do that. Students first, student athlete first. Take your test scores, get your test scores as early as possible. All right. If you don't have an ACT or SAT score, you're pretty much wasting your time playing. They can't do nothing with you if you don't qualify. So once you put that whole formula together, you see what came about. All right, see what options I have. Well, can I sign this scholarship? If I don't have a scholarship, can I get Bright Futures? Are my grades good enough? Use fastweb.com, best kept secret. They offer all kinds of scholarships, left-handed scholarships. You can write a paper on what you would do to change humanities scholarships. Like, it's a lot of money available for education if you don't necessarily earn it in the athletic realm. So I would tell them to do that. And then at that point, man, you just got to bet on yourself, like double down. Once you made your mind up, like this what it is, take your chance. Whatever your chance is, I don't care if it's in Washington State, New York, you know, it's almost 5,000 universities in the United States. And they're actually playing football in Europe and stuff now too. So there's opportunity everywhere. And I remember someone telling me, if you can start for a high school in Florida, there's a school for you. All right, if you can be on the starting roster in Florida where we play the best football at, it may not be Big 12, all right? It may not be national championship contender, but trust and believe, scouts are coming to check out Mount Union University. Scouts are coming to check out North Dakota State University. Scouts are going to Jacksonville State University, UT Martin, all right? You know, they really do come check you out. It's not as prevalent. You know, I don't want to say you have the same opportunity as these guys, because you don't. You know, they got a little advantage on you, all right? You know, if you start in the SEC for 10, 11 games, you're probably going to the NFL. Yeah, you know, and that just is what it is. So, you know, once they get there, and I hope somebody sees this and like reach out to me like, yeah, you know, explain this to me. But it's all about just being consistent with your effort.